Okay guys, Panzer J back here in Operation Champ. We're up to turn number 4, January 38 for the US KMT. So this is going to be turn 4.7. So I got to thank my buddy Global War 36 enthusiast for pointing out to me that I had been incorrectly labeling my videos in terms of the turn. So I was doing whatever turn it was, 0.7 for the US, and then whatever turn, 0.8 for the KMT. But as he pointed out, the US and the KMT take their turn simultaneously, so there's no difference there between the US and the KMT. So going forward, we're going to be 4.7 for the US KMT together. So on to our tech rolls for the U.S. So we're up to 6 major factories. So I think we currently have 3 techs at stage 2, which is the furthest we can advance. So those 3 will stay where they are for now. So the 6 we're going to go for are long-range aircraft, and we don't have that on the board. Advanced subs, not on the board. Strategic rockets, not on the board. Improved factories, not on the board. Improved construction, stage 1, and heavy battleships, not on the board. So those are going to be our 6 techs. So let's go ahead in descending order. So we got long-range aircraft first at a 7 or higher, and a 5. We missed that. Advanced subs, 8 or higher. A 10. We succeeded there. Strategic rockets, 9 or higher. A 10, we succeeded there. Let's see, what else did we say? Improved factories, 7 or higher. An 11, we succeeded there. Improved construction, 7 or higher. A 12, we succeeded there. And heavy battleships, 7 or higher. A 9, we succeeded there, so there you go. 5 out of 6 this turn. So we like that. So let's go ahead and put advanced subs on the board, strategic rockets on the board, improved factories on the board, improved construction up to stage 2, and heavy battleships on the board. So there you go. U.S. technology starting to pay off now for us. Okay, so on to purchases. So we have $6 for the U.S. We're going to spend 3 of it by lend-leasing a cavalry to Brazil. And then the KMT has 6 to spend, and they're purchasing 3 militia. Okay, so that is it for purchases. We do actually have combat this turn. So Brazil is going to try to push back against Argentina this turn. So we are going to take an infantry here in Caatinga and come down 1 to Pampas. And he has a cavalry and a infantry there in Pampas. Also, we're going to take 2 infantry from Rio, are going to come over 1 to Pampas. So is the artillery, and so is our fighter from Rio. So the ground units moved there 1, and the fighter moved 1. So plenty of movement left for the fighter. Looks like we are going into mountains from both Caatinga and Rio. Into Pampas is mountain territory. So my ground units are going to be -1 on this attack. So that means the artillery on a first strike will drop from a 3 to a 2. 1 of the 3 infantry can pair with the artillery to stay at 2. The other 2 infantry will drop down to 1, and then the fighter, it's not affected. Okay, and his infantry is going to defend at a 4, and his cavalry is going to defend at a 2. And that is our only combat. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got our fighter first at a 6, and a 1 misses. Oh, I should have done my artillery first strike. Okay, so we'll count the fighter as a miss. So let's do our artillery first strike at a 2 or less. And we got a 1 again. So he would clearly lose his cavalry. So take him off the board. Now we have our one artillery, or excuse me, one infantry that paired with the artillery at a 2. An 11 misses. And then we've got our 2 infantry at 1s. And 2 10s miss. So we only got 1 hit on that first round. That was with our artillery first strike. So now his infantry in return at a 4 or less. And 11 misses. Okay, so round number 2, we've got our fighter at a 6 or less. And a 4 hit. So I'll go ahead and roll the rest of my units anyways, even though I finished off the last of his units. So we've got an infantry and an artillery at 2s, 3 and a 10 misses, and then 2 infantries at 1, 2 and a 3 miss. So we did get our 1 hit with the fighter. So now his infantry return at a 4, 10 misses. So we take Pompous back, take off his infantry. So we take that territory with 3 infantry and an artillery. Okay. And that is it for combat. So on to non-combat. The U.S. has no movements. Here in Brazil, our fighter is going to fly back to Rio. And then over in China, we're going to continue to shuffle some units around. So we are going to go ahead and take infantry in Sichuan and come down to Quichao. And infantry in Hunan backing up to Quichao. And infantry in Shantung moving back to Sichuan. And then our 2 infantry in Nanking, 1 to Shantung, 1 to Hunan. And that's it for non-combat for the KMT. So on to unit placement. So we have our Lend-Lease cavalry. So it'll make its way from Washington all the way down to Rio. Okay, and then we've got our 3 KMT militia. And all 3 of them are going to go down in Nanking. And that should be it for non-combat. Okay, so on to collect income. So the U.S., thanks to Madman Dan completing an aircraft carrier, moved up from 6 to 7. So we're collecting 7 as the U.S., and we saved 3, so that gives us 10 next turn for the United States. And then the KMT is still at 6, and they didn't save any, so they'll have 6 next turn. So that should be it for the U.S. KMT. Real quick, I'll just go over what's going on in Brazil and in China. I have a feeling Madman Dan might need to know exactly what I have in what territories. I just have a sneaky suspicion he might be on the offensive next turn. So in Nanking, we have 4 militia. Shantung and Hunan have an infantry apiece. Sichuan has an infantry and 3 militia. And in Quichao, we have 2 militia, 4 cavalry, and 6 infantry. And then over in Brazil, we have, in Rio, we have a fighter and a cavalry. And in Pampas, we have 3 infantry and an artillery. And one last thing I forgot, I always forget my recruitment rolls. So let's go ahead and do that real quick for Brazil. So we have 4 territories again in our possession. So we need a 4 or less. And we got a 2. So we are going to go ahead and place, we're going to go ahead and put an infantry in Rio, I guess. So that will be, so add an infantry to what was already in Rio there. And that should be it for the U.S. and the KMT here on turn number 4. Switching things over to Categorical, because again, I jumped the gun a little bit here and took my turn before his Italian turn. So Categorical will go ahead and finish things off on turn number 4 here in Operation Champ. See you guys on turn number 5.